My name is Raphael. I'm 34 years old. I'm a landscape photographer. I make a living capturing what other people don't stop to look at. Skies, deserts, empty roads. I've always liked places where the silence weighs more than the noise. But this story doesn't start in my adult life. It starts long before that. I was 7 the first time I saw the light. It was summer, and my family had gone camping near a reservoir, far from the city. I remember the smell of wet earth, the sound of crickets, the campfire my dad had just put out. And then, in the sky, right above the trees, a light appeared. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a plane. It was round. Still. Like it was watching me. I stared at it for what felt like minutes, maybe seconds, I can't really say. And then, without a sound, it simply vanished. I told my parents. They laughed, said I'd seen a satellite, or dreamed it. I let it go. But that night stayed lodged somewhere inside me. And over the years, it came back. Always in empty places. Always at night. Always when I was alone. I never told anyone about the other times. Until the trip I took 2 weeks ago. I was driving back from a job out in the countryside, photos for a project on desert landscapes. It was almost 10 at night, and the road I'd picked was a shortcut my map app suggested. No street lights. No signs except the one marking the mile. Just me, the car, and a straight horizon that seemed to have no end. At first, it was peaceful. Even relaxing. I put on a playlist, low volume, rolled down the window to feel the warm night air. There was something beautiful about that isolation. But at some point, I couldn't say exactly when, I realized the radio was nothing but static. I tried switching stations. Nothing. Just a low hiss, almost like a whisper underneath the noise. I turned the radio off. And that's when I saw, in the rearview mirror, a light behind me. At first I thought it was another car. But it didn't move like a car. Too high up. Too still. My stomach tightened. I recognized that feeling. It was the same one from when I was 7. I kept driving, trying not to look at the mirror again. I told myself it was exhaustion. Hours on the road without a break. Strange lights in the middle of nowhere always have some boring explanation. But the light stayed there. Always the same distance away. Like it was accompanying me, not chasing me. I decided to pull over at an abandoned gas station on the side of the road, just to breathe, drink some water, put my feet on solid ground. The place was deserted. A broken sign swung in the wind. The station's lights were off, but for some reason the soda machine was still humming, alone, in the silence. While I drank my water, leaning against the car, I heard a sound behind me. Footsteps. Slow. On the gravel. I turned around fast. Nothing. Just the wind, and dust lifting in small spirals. I went back to the car, trying to look calm. But when I reached to unlock the door, I saw something written in the dust on the back window. It hadn't been there before. 3 words. You are not alone. I got in the car shaking. Locked the doors, even knowing that, deep down, it wouldn't do a thing against whatever was out there. I drove too fast for the first few minutes, just wanting distance from that gas station. But the road seemed longer than before. The same broken posts. The same curves. That's when the headlights lit up something in the middle of the asphalt. I slammed on the brakes. It was small. Metallic. It looked like a locket, or a fragment of something bigger, markings I'd never seen before etched into the surface, glowing in a way that didn't make sense, as if it had its own light. I shouldn't have gotten out of the car. I know that now. But I did. When I picked up the object, I felt a strange warmth in my palm. It didn't burn, but it pulsed, almost like a heartbeat. And in that same instant, the lights above me grew brighter. 3 of them now, forming a silent triangle in the sky. I ran back to the car, the object still in my hand. The engine wouldn't start. It turned over and over, but never caught. It was in that silence that I heard, for the first time, a voice. Low. Coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. Raphael. I froze. My name. No one knew I was on that road. No one. Why are you here? The voice wasn't coming from outside. It was coming from inside the car, as if it were inside my own head. I tried the engine again. Nothing. Then, in the rearview mirror, for a split second, I saw a silhouette in the back seat. When I turned around, there was nothing there. Just the object, still glowing faintly in my hand, as if it were breathing. That's when another vehicle's headlights appeared in the distance, coming toward me. An old pickup truck pulled up beside me. A man, maybe in his 60s, stepped out slowly. He wore a worn-out coat and carried a flashlight that barely lit his own face. "Car trouble?" he asked, his voice far too calm for the place and the hour. I explained, stammering, about the engine, about the lights. He looked up at the sky for a second. He didn't seem surprised. "They choose people who've seen them before," he said. "You saw them before, didn't you?" "As a kid." I hadn't told him that. "How do you know that?" He didn't answer. He just looked at the object in my hand, and his face changed, not with fear, but with something closer to pity. "That fragment, you should have left it where it was." Then, without further explanation, he pointed his flashlight into the woods beside the road. "If you want answers, they're in there. If you want to live in peace, get in your car and never look back." I stood there, my heart pounding, looking between the man, the dark woods, and the car that still wouldn't start. Everything in me screamed to run. But there was something stronger, the same curiosity from when I was 7 and stayed staring at that light until it vanished, instead of running into the tent. "Why me?" I asked. The man shrugged. "There isn't always a why. There's only a choice." The lights in the sky, 4 of them now, began descending slowly, as if waiting for my decision. The wind stopped completely. Not even the crickets made a sound. I looked at the woods. Then at the car. And I took my first step, not toward the car, but into the darkness of the trees. Behind me, I heard the man whisper, almost to himself. "They always choose." The woods didn't feel natural. The trees stood too close together, forming a narrow corridor, as if they'd been planted that way on purpose. The fragment in my hand pulsed stronger with every step, guiding me like a broken compass. I reached a clearing. At its center, the ground formed a perfect circle, bare of grass, just smooth, dark earth. And there, hovering low, almost within reach, was one of the lights. Up close, it wasn't just light. There was a shape behind it, undefined, shimmering like heat over asphalt, impossible to hold with my eyes. "Stay," the voice whispered, clearer now than ever. It wasn't a threat. It was almost an invitation. I felt the fragment in my hand grow hot, almost unbearably so, and for one instant. Just one, I saw, behind the light, a glimpse of my own backyard, decades ago. Me, 7 years old, looking up. The light had always been the same one. I could feel both possibilities as a physical weight in my chest. Stay. Find out what that thing really was, once and for all, after 27 years of unanswered questions. Or pull back. Return to the car, to the road, to the normal life I'd built for myself. The fragment in my hand seemed to be waiting too. I closed my eyes. And, without quite knowing why, I opened my hand and let the object fall to the center of the dirt circle. The moment it touched the ground, the light pulled back, not in anger, but as if it had, somehow, been released. "Not yet," I heard, almost gently. Then, darkness. Total silence. As if someone had switched off the world for a second. When I opened my eyes again, I was alone in the clearing. No light. No fragment. No sound. Just the woods, and the distant road, lit by my own car's headlights, running, waiting for me. I walked back to the car without really remembering the way. The man with the pickup truck wasn't there anymore. There was no sign he'd ever existed, no tire tracks, no footprints besides my own. I drove the rest of the night in silence, no radio, no stops. I got home at dawn. I told myself it might have been exhaustion, stress, a bad night behind the wheel. I almost believed it. Until last night. Because when I went to close my bedroom window before going to sleep, I saw, far off, above the city buildings, a light sitting still in the sky. The same distance as always. The same way as always. And for 1 second, just one, I swear I heard, quietly, coming from nowhere. "We're not done, Raphael." I still don't know if any of it was real. I only know that, ever since, I sleep with the bedroom light on. And that, every once in a while, I still feel like I'm being watched.